Hello everybody, welcome to my patch rundown. We're going to be looking at the patch 7.17 notes today. They just came out. It's a wonderful morning back in the US as of yesterday. So let's go ahead and get started. So Ornn is going to be released this patch. I have an article that I'm going to be releasing about Ornn, so I'm going to go ahead and skip talking about him in this video. As for, let's see, Draven, stacks reduced to 75% lost, and the base gold is reduced to 25. So, this honestly doesn't seem necessary to me. Draven is a very high risk, high reward. So it doesn't really shine with me that Draven's going to get like this hard of a nerf, because this is when Draven gets behind, he does not excel at getting back into the game, and this doesn't really attack him when he's ahead. It doesn't attack him when he's winning. It only attacks him when he's losing. Whereas a lot of people don't really like how strong Draven is and his ability to snowball. But I don't think anyone complains about a Draven that has already lost the early game and that has already gotten behind, because he isn't that great at catching up. So I find this a little bit unnecessary. What do they say here? That promise... I think Riot is drawing a pretty fine line. I think the one thing that they're worried about is that in higher elos, wow, I need to like fix my pen settings. I apologize for that. But in higher elos, a lot of people will just farm after losing lane, right? And that's generally a good goal, is to farm after losing, and you only want to farm because you want to catch up. So the only goal is to not die, and to maximize farm. So generally, if Draven is able to do this, if say Draven's 0-1. Or maybe even 0-2. What the hell? And that's at say 6 minutes. Say 16 minutes comes by and you've had a very slow game. Laning phase didn't end until about 12 to 14 minutes. And Draven was able to farm and didn't really do that much. And say he got about 90 farm. And with that 90 farm, he got about 400 stacks. And you go ahead and you kill him, and now he has 200. But after you kill him, he comes back, and his team ganks him, or they flank in the mid lane, or a dragon fight happens, and he gets 1 kill. And then he gets that 400 bonus gold, and it really means as if he's gotten like 2.3 kills. Right, and that's just for 1 kill. So that extra amount of gold can actually jump him back into the game, because it's like that's an extra 1.3 kills worth of gold, and he was already down about 2 kills in the beginning, or maybe even 3. So it gives him more than 33% of a recovery. And remember, this is just mathematical and situational. So I'm just trying to explain maybe what Riot's thought process is in this. So you can shut down Draven, and you don't have to do it as often, because remember, you want to kill Draven maybe around every 5 minutes, in order to make sure he doesn't reach a stack point where he's very useful. If he gets 1 kill, because 1 kill generally, they don't like it to be very strong. Okay, actually let's just use this. Ezreal, 1.1 to 1.25 total attack damage. I really don't like this. I think Ezreal was in a fine spot, at least in high elo, and especially on a competitive scene. So this is just going to make Ezreal like really annoying on the competitive scene because it's really going to buff him with his Triforce power spike, and I think this is mainly targeted at like a lower elo at like a lower level of play because Mystic Shot is a skill shot, so it isn't always going to hit. And I know that like a long time ago, it was like some kind of statistic like, oh, you'll hit 1 out of 5 of your Mystic Shots. Um, and this 0.15 AD scaling, while it may not seem like a lot, if you have 200 AD, that's an extra 30 damage. And 30 damage every, say, 2 seconds because because your Q's on a 2-second cooldown in a team fight that may be 15 seconds long allows him to do an extra couple hundred damage. And this might mean that Ezreal is going to get some competitive um, pressure on him, especially during Worlds, with a buff like this. Because remember, Ezreal's super safe, and it is definitely like a good kite mage of an ADC. Alright, Hecarim. Duration no longer ticks down during... Oh, okay. So he doesn't lose time on his devastating charge, which is about 4 seconds, for maybe the half a second to 3/4 of a second that he gets from Onslaught of Shadows and his travel. So say that he's like, you're here and this is the total distance you can travel with your E, and say you ult here, or well, I guess normally you ult about here because you can travel, say, this distance with your ultimate. Now it's saying that you can ult here and still be able to hit people with devastating charge about here. So you get this whole extra duration of time that might be about 0.5 seconds to proc the knockback. And that could mean a lot for Hecarim because that says like reliable engage. So this might also mean that Hecarim is going to get into the meta, and this might really be a problem because it's almost easy to say that there are too many viable junglers. So it becomes very difficult to judge the game state and really counter all of the drafting principles that are involved. So I don't really like this. And this also gives him a CC buff up to 1.5 seconds on his fear. I really hate that. I do not... Like, I like Hecarim and I like him where he is now, and I don't even think that Hecarim was unusable. But I do think that giving him an extra 0.5 seconds possible on his ultimate is going to give him a lot of extra pressure, because 0.5 seconds, a lot of damage can happen in. Alright, Leona. Sunlight mark is reduced. Damage is increased. And Q is lowered at early ranks, but increased at late ranks. Actually, I kind of like this. I think that the mark duration might have been nerfed a little bit too much. We all know that Leona is not that... she wasn't in a great spot. And she's a very linear champion. She only has so many goals. She doesn't have very many variations in what she's supposed to do. Since she really is a champion that just only goes in, she doesn't go out, and she's just a face tank. She's just a blind face tank. So the mark duration was decreased, so it's going to... It kind of it punishes her for engaging early. Because a lot of the time, say a Leona is alone under her turret, and her ADC is right here, and maybe you're on blue side, and your jungler is right here. And your jungler wants to gank. Maybe it's even a Hecarim while your ADC comes into the lane, and you engage onto your enemies, which are right here. And you're able to lock them down for a little while. But you're not going to get all of your ticks of your passive, just because the first tick, even if you just use your EQ and you want to wait to use your ultimate so you get the maximum amount of ticks on your passive, you wait for it, but you may not be able to get that damage out, because you want to get that damage out before your W procs, and then you get another piece of damage, and then you ult and get another piece of damage. I don't know. It's maybe it is fine. Maybe it's not wrong. But it is weird to me. And then they increase the damage on her to make her maybe a little bit more reliable. And then they lower the Q cooldown, which helps early game. Since Leona doesn't exactly have that strong of an early game either, even though she is someone who is supposed to be engaging early. So she's really good with those high pressure ADCs. But I don't know if she has enough to offer even still. Yeah. Historically troubled. I don't know. This is... I mean, the extra damage means that you can maximize more. And it is possible to maximize more, because they're saying they want to target the higher end players and the players who are able to understand how to use this champion the most efficiently. But the thing is, Leona's so linear that people have to engage, but the people who have to engage are also playing against people who have to respond, or who are supposed to counter engage, or who are supposed to not be engaged on at all. So I don't think you could do anything to Leona that would make her that strong, unless give her a large amount of damage. And don't get me wrong, this is decent. This is decent damage, and lowering this cooldown is nice, but it isn't perfect. It's not gonna make big changes. Maybe Madokai. That was a little bit weird, because you'd just be walking through the jungle, or you'd be roaming from top to mid, and you'd hit a ward or something, and you just get extra health on your way. Okay, no, that's nothing. Urgot. Okay, so his W, Purge now refreshes the duration of the locked on debuff. This is just for consistency. So this helps out his regular play a lot. If Urgot casts Disdain during Purge, but fails to toss a champion, Purge will now resume firing for the remainder of its duration a bit earlier than before. Lockout period reduced to 1 second. So it's overall duration reactive window 4 seconds. Yeah, it's overall making Urgot more efficient. I don't know if we'll see him in competitive play yet. You might not see Urgot until next year, just because people probably haven't been practicing him a lot, and he doesn't seem to be powerful enough that he's going to be abused in any way, or that abusing him is something that's necessary. But other than that case, if you want to use Urgot in solo queue, I'm sure he's decent for probably silver to gold elo. Okay, so Zed, base attack speed. This, I mean, I guess that'll help his laning a little bit, even though you don't even... I don't think he needed that. And then the shadow duration was increased to 5 seconds. I think this is a little bit weird, because I think this allows for a second Q in the, like, late mid-game. So I don't think that... I don't like that. I don't like this at all. Yeah, this is where I really say, right? Are you sure about that? Because Zed's really potent because he's supposed to be an assassin and he's able to get out. It's very difficult to keep track of him, and as well as force his death, even in situations where almost every other champion in the game would die no matter what. But having an invulnerability, which he leaves the map for a second, and a couple teleports, it's really strong. The thing is, this is not where Zed needs help. Zed needs help in reliability. Because Zed needs to be reliable in assassination in order to be useful at the competitive level. And at the competitive level, he's able to kill people, but it's very rare that he's able to find a opportunity. And there's lots of counterplay available, considering all of his damage, his main damage, which is on his Q, which is amplified by his W and R. His R by giving him an extra shadow, and his W by giving him an extra shadow, is all skill shot based, and that's really what makes him not so popular. Because I mean, if you saw a lot of skill shot champions in higher elo play, I mean, you'd see more Lux, you'd see more Ziggs, you'd see more Xerath. But these champions just aren't reliable enough, so you don't see them a lot. You are starting to see a little bit more Xerath, but he has a lot of things that other champions don't really get to offer. Okay, Ardent Sensor nerfed. This was absolutely necessary. Ardent Sensor is still going to be strong, so you can still prioritize it. You can still use it. There's nothing really big different here, because it's just an item, so it's not really a game-changing factor. I mean, 10% attack speed, that's usually about 0.06 attack speed, since a lot of people's base attack speed is about 0.6, so it really isn't a huge difference. Gargoyle Stoneplate. The combination of Cinderhawk with Stoneplate is granting 1640 instead of 1400. Oh, okay. So here's what's happening. When you used Gargoyle, so used active, it would give you the bonus health, and then Cinderhawk would add 20% of that bonus health on top of your new health. Now that no longer happens, and that's fine. I mean, this is going to nerf the tank meta, but it won't make it disappear. I mean, the Cho'Gath is still going to be really strong. a couple other health tanks will be pretty strong, and any tanks that prioritize. The thing is with Gargoyle, it's really good on team fight tanks because, for example, someone like Sejuani, who wants to build maybe Frozen Heart and Abyssal Mask or something, and then like a ton of resistances. It allows them to get high resistance and not prioritize spending gold on health. And this also was like with the Thornmail, because they get all of the they get their most efficient build by getting a bunch of resistances and then getting all the bonus help that would amplify those resistances efficiency by just using the active on Gargoyle Stoneplate. But it was really more only useful in the team fights. So it does benefit more of a tank meta. But this is just nerfing it a little bit. Okay, so that was it. Wow, it's pretty short. Player preferred item slots are a new feature per item set. Nothing particularly changing. Okay. Blood Moon's out. New skins. Star Guardian Ari. That's gonna be cool. I'm excited for Star Guardian Ezreal and Syndra. But I'll probably end up buying the Ari skin anyway because I have all the skins. But that's my patch rundown. Don't forget to check out my other videos. This patch was really short, so there's nothing too important to say. A couple of these changes are really weird. Like I really don't like the Hecarim changes. I really don't like the Ezreal changes. The Draven changes make him pretty much unplayable in high elo. Because he becomes way too high risk for the reward that he receives. And then I'll be releasing a few articles soon, and one of those articles will be me talking about Ornn and how Ornn functions. So be on the watch for that, and stay tuned. But thanks for watching. Like, comment, whatever. I don't really care. Thank you.